Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net. ChristopherMedia.net.
From Asthma Core Studios near Detroit, Michigan, it's Unregimented.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
And now, here are your hosts.
Welcome to Unregimented number 275. I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron.
And I'm Rich.
Guys, I have to let you know, I've scheduled an appointment with an oncologist when I get back to Detroit because I've driven by several wind farms during this trip.
Oh, man. Are they near your house? I hear your house is just going to plummet by 75% in value.
Yeah.
Just by being near one of these things.
These are some of the things this man says that just... people are like always trying to read more into what he's saying. Just take some of the crazy shit he says for face value. You'll be far more entertained.
Yeah,
where do you get this? How does a windmill cause cancer?
That is astoundingly puzzling. I mean,
not only does a windmill the wind turbines cause cancer, but this is the same president who would have us believe that coal and nuclear energy is safer than alternative sources, according to his own words, right?
Well, nuclear kind of is, but coal isn't.
Yeah, nuclear is actually extremely safe.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but if
but coal is not, and certainly not for the people who have to mine it as well.
And if the shit hits the fans with a nuclear power plant, well, what I'm saying is, if the shit hits the fans with a nuclear power plant, you're gonna have Chernobyl Part 2. That shit ain't gonna happen no matter what the fuck happens with wind turbines or whatever the fuck they are. I mean, come on.
See, Chernobyl is its own circumstance. Chernobyl has to do with nuclear power and a complete lack of infrastructure.
Yeah, and then Fukushima was a tsunami.
Right. I mean, high-tech, modern nuclear facilities, even if they encounter problems, are not going to lay waste to miles of land. They're not going to radiate the earth. They have contingency plans.
Okay, well, first of all, I didn't say radiate the earth. Second of all...
Well, you're saying it's going to be like another Chernobyl.
Yes, because there's a possibility... Okay, whatever.
There's not a possibility of another Chernobyl. I'm not getting into this
early into the show about some bullshit. Move on. Jesus fucking Christ, man.
What are you so pissed off about?
I'm not pissed off. I'm annoyed because you're starting the shit already. I just made a statement. I made a statement. Yeah, I'm sorry. There's always going to be a risk, no matter how minuscule, with nuclear power. And you're sitting here acting like I said it's a definitive... The world will go into Mad Max land if there's a fucking problem at a nuclear power plant. It's not what I said, and don't try to fucking imply that's what I said. Don't fucking put words in my mouth, man.
I'm not putting words in your mouth. What I'm trying to point out is that the words that you're using to describe nuclear power is part of the problem that we have right now. This fear of nuclear power and what it could be, when the facts don't represent that, and that we should be leaning on nuclear power for our energy needs.
Okay, I'm not going to sit here for 10 minutes trying to explain my point. Obviously, I didn't get across to you the first time, so I'm not going to try.
Rich, I'm fully understanding your point.
I'm saying they're both The point is, he's a dumbass.
Yeah, there we go.
He's saying that alternative energy sources are more dangerous than coal mining, and I don't give a fuck how much. Unless a wind turbine falls on you, how is it dangerous?
I mean, it's kind of astounding.
Did you listen today?
We accept that, radiation would have come from, as soon as we figured out it was a thing, like anytime we put anything electric in the house or near the house, it was like, oh, it's going to give us cancer, it's going to blow up, it's going to kill people. And we had all these same fears that were based on nothing about all kinds of technology. Now we have electrical wires running all over the place. And so, like, what was, I can't remember if it was Tommy Boy or...
Did you grow up under power lines?
Right. Like, that's still a joke that people understand. And there's nothing wrong. Like, nothing has ever been proven that growing up near or around power lines is dangerous unless you actually get electrocuted.
Well, I mean, first of all, it doesn't matter because apparently all those old Nokia brick cell phones we had, they killed everybody with brain tumors, and we're living in some sort of like afterlife.
Right? Yeah. There's another one. All the testicular cancer that we were going to see because we were walking around with phones in our pockets. I mean, nothing's been proven on this, and yet they continue to exist, just preying off of people's fears of technology. And so, are people going to believe that wind turbines? Absolutely, they do. Especially if they think that if they don't see a direct benefit in their life from it, and they think that it might be antithetical to their way of life, it might be putting some of their relatives or even themselves out of work in some fashion, then absolutely, it doesn't even matter if it's a fact. Even if they don't believe that wind turbines cause cancer, they'll spread it. The rumor is that it's not the cancer.
No, the rumor will spread like cancer, though.
The rumor will spread like cancer.
And this is something I've never understood, and I don't get from the people who are just so adamant against alternative forms of energy. If they go, oh, well, solar panels on your house alone can't power your house. Okay, well, if it can reduce the amount of fucking natural resources we have to burn through, doesn't that help a little bit also? Well, it's cost prohibitive at this point. I understand, but any technology, when it starts out, costs a fuck ton. Give it more time, eventually, the cost will come down. When flat panel TVs came out, they were fucking $5,000. Yeah. Now you can go get a fucking 50-inch smart TV for $150. Yeah, it'll be an off-brand one, but you can get one at fucking Walmart. You know?
I mean, people talk about solar and completely, they don't even mention battery technology, right? Which that's what it goes hand in hand. And it's like any type of power harvesting technology. You can set up a dam and you can get hydroelectric power from it, but you still have to have some way to store and distribute that electricity correctly, right? So when you take yourself, quote unquote, off the grid and put solar panels on your house, if you're relying on direct current from the solar powers to power everything, then you're going to have uneven performance. But that's not how any power system works, not even on a small scale. You'll have a battery and a power distribution system that makes sure that the power that you get is regular, even at nighttime, even when clouds pass over.
Yeah, this whole misconception that the sun has to be out for your solar panels to work is dumb.
Yeah, your house is charging all day. You're at work, your house is baking in the sun and soaking up all that energy, and now you have it all night. That's just how it works. It's not some big surprise.
Well, I mean, I had a family member who looked into doing something with solar panels. Now, granted, it was 15 years ago, and I think they were quoted something like $20,000, and they were like, "There's no way I can afford that." And so their mantra became, "Oh, it's just not cost efficient. It's a pipe dream." I mean, I guess if you're a millionaire, you can afford to do it. And I was like, "Okay, it's 15 years ago. I would love for this same family member to go to the exact same company they went to 15 years ago and ask how much that company will quote them these days." Because if it's the same price or more, I would be shocked. Except for, well, now that I think about it, wasn't it part of the tariffs?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It probably has come down, but not by much. And part of that is because we're not pushing the technology as a country, and that in some cases our government is just against it, or not necessarily against it, but too protective of the technology. And the solar power manufacturers that we have in this country, and not actually let it be a free and open market that can naturally drive down the cost.
Well, here's my question. Do you, oh God, and this is just morbid curiosity on my part, do you think that he just pulled this out of his ass, or do you think this is someone around him there is writing for him, put this in there and was like, yeah, run with this? The whole thing about,
I would guess that it's probably he met somebody, like some farmer or something, even just shook his hand briefly, and he was like, Mr. President, you got to get rid of these wind turbines. They're causing cancer. And, it's just garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah. To me,
he just turns around and spews it out on stage like it's a fact.
To me, the made-up percentage says it comes straight out of his ass. Like, what is your basis for your house going to lose 75% of its value? Well, first of all, you ever been around a wind farm? There aren't any houses around. Been around several in the last few years. They are over vast expanses of land. They go on for miles. There's not a fucking house near them.
Yeah, it's not something that's just going. It's not beneficial to throw one up in somebody's neighborhood. It's not like a cellular tower.
Nor is it plausible, because you need many of them. You can't just set up one or two. Right,
it does nothing. On its own, it's not gonna change anything. That's why it's called a farm.
So right there, we can tell that Donnie's never played in any version of SimCity because he's never had to build a wind farm. He's the type of asshole, if he did play it, he'd build one right next to a skyscraper and go, it doesn't power it. See, it doesn't work. This is fake science.
How are the lights going to work if it's not windy?
And I think,
and I even named my city Chicago, so it's very, very windy. Sorry, go ahead, Aaron.
I think on a lot of the things that Trump says, you can debate over, well, does he really believe this, or is he just saying this? To me, this is pretty clear that he is just saying this. I don't think Trump believes for a second any of the nonsense that he says about wind farms. He just says it because he knows people are going to react to it.
Yeah, I don't think he believes half the shit he says in general. He's either doing it to what you just said, get a reaction, or fire up his base. Like, there's an ulterior motive to everything that comes out of his mouth. You don't believe it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's an unknown quotient, right? Unless you were able to pry open his brain and read it, you would never really know how much of his own bullshit he believes.
Oh, but I can tell you this, without even having to delve too deep into anybody's social media profile, I know there's people in his base that took that as the word of God himself, that are now running around saying wind turbines give you cancer, and you're never going to shake that belief out of their fucking head. No matter
my God, what are they going to do in Holland? All those people are in danger.
But I guarantee you, none of these people are. Not one of them is going to be somebody who works on wind turbines and then goes, "Oh, this whole time I was employed and working on these things and probably made a really decent living, But turns out they cause cancer. I can't. I got to stop. Not only am I going to get cancer, I'm going to give cancer anyway." Nobody in that situation believes that, because the people's beliefs have become situational. What they believe depends on what they actually think is going to affect them. If a company that makes wind turbines is signing over checks to them, they're not going to believe any of this shit. But if they have no vested interest in it, or just see it as some sort of change that they don't want, or they themselves or a family member is involved in the coal industry or natural gas or anything like that, they will absolutely believe this, because their beliefs are based on what is actually going to directly affect them.
I'm just trying to picture how wind turbines give you cancer. I mean, is it like, the only thing I can think of is if someone was burning a big pile of tobacco right behind where the fan was blowing, and you just stood there inhaling deeply for like 2-3 decades.
Or or it's just blowing all the cancer around. Maybe we're looking too deep into it.
Or thinking that this is some sort of new technology, right? There's something mystical going on inside of this turbine that could be emitting radiation in some way when it's really just a fucking windmill.
Oh, shit.
It's like the oldest piece of technology that we have, you know?
I think Chris is onto something, though. That it's just blowing all that cancer around. Cancer has gone airborne. There you go.
Oh my God! I just thought of something. I had all these windmill cookies when I was younger.
Yeah, all from Aubrey Bakery. It's all a conspiracy.
What's gonna happen? Do I have cancer now?
It's the deep state. I bet you know who owns the Bilderberg Group. I mean, Aubrey Bakery. God damn it!
Point still made.
Dyslexia kicked in. Whoops. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And here's the thing: it's like, of course, it's something he would say. Like half the time, I go, "Is he really stupid, or is he crazy, or is he just both?"
I think he's just riffing. He's just riffing on shit that sounds good, quite honestly.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I didn't say it's good riffing, but he's riffing.
No, right. He goes out and does these events, and he's like a stand-up comic, right? He's working his material. He says something, and if it doesn't get a big reaction, well, I'm not going to say that anymore. How about this? Lock her up. Oh, shit. People like that? Oh, well, lock her up. That's,
All right, well, that's my new closer.
That's a catchphrase now, I'm surprised he doesn't come out in a T-shirt. It's lock her up.
That's his sludge-o-matic. Right. That's his go-to closer. And just like Gallagher fans, all the Trump base has to, keep plastic around them because they're going to wet themselves with getting so excited about the fucking closing bit.
He gets up there, he smashes American values like so much fruit, spews his hate all over the crowd, spits out a few one-liners.
All right, so excuse me. Sorry about that. Forgive me for my ignorance, but Chris, you had sent something to the group chat about it. Something to the IRS or from the IRS regarding
to the IRS.
Okay, regarding a request for 6 years of Trump's last 6 tax returns, right?
Yes, 2013 through 2018.
All right, because I was listening to NPR the other day when they were talking about, what does Trump have to say about this? And they played a clip of Trump going, well, I make a lot of money, and so every year I get audited. So as soon as the IRS stops auditing me for the last 6 years, I'll be more than happy to release my taxes. And I'm like, is that his subtle way of basically trying to bribe the IRS from getting out of his business?
No, it's just an excuse.
Yeah, no, it's him going, I don't have to, and I'm not gonna. That's what he's saying. You know
how on TV, every time a reporter runs up to a cop, they're like, I can't comment on an ongoing investigation. Well, it's bullshit. He can comment or he can't. But when he doesn't want to comment, he can say that it's because it's an ongoing investigation. And he's just using that as cover. Him being audited has zero to do with what he chooses to release to the public as far as his taxes go. Mm-hmm. You think the IRS has something to say about that? He was sitting there preparing his paperwork, and somebody from the IRS calls out, hey, wait a minute. You're in the middle of an audit, Mr. Trump. Hold off on releasing that tax information. No, that's Trump's tax information. I mean, if he wanted to release it, he absolutely could, and the IRS doesn't have squat to say about it. It's not like he's releasing somebody else's personal information.
Mm-hmm. But you pick up what I'm laying down. The way he phrased that, it seemed like he was trying to paint it like, well, I'm trying to, but the IRS just keeps their big dick. So.
He doesn't have to quote unquote bribe him. He appointed the current director of the IRS. I mean, his boy's pretty much in place. You don't have to bribe him. And then to this, the temperature on social media today.
Wait, who are you?
The current director of the IRS was appointed by Trump.
No, I understand, but I'm confused why you're talking about bribes. What are we?
No, no. I was saying it's like is he dumb? I was asking, is he dumb enough to think that if he goes, well, if you stop auditing me, you can see my taxes. In other words, let me get away with my dirt without the IRS sticking their nose in, and I'll release my taxes. Is he actually dumb enough to think that's going to work?
No, I'm with Aaron. It's an excuse.
Yeah.
Okay, and then maybe I used bribe isn't the right word, but it's like
suggesting.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. It'd be like, hey, look, officer, look, here's, if I drop this 50 and you happen to pick it up, I don't know, maybe I can move on and you can go back to your cruiser,
No, he had to give, he had to give some sort of response to it because it's been a tradition. It's not written into our laws that you have to release your tax returns. But it's become such a tradition in the race for the presidency that it looks like you're doing something wrong if you refuse not to. So he has to make some sort of show that he wants to because he's got nothing to hide, but his hands are tied.
Exactly. That's.
And as far as this new attack to try and get their hands on his tax returns, I don't think anything's gonna come of it. Obviously, there's no law that says that he has to release them.
Don't tell that to social media. Jesus Christ! Have you read through our Twitter feed today? Holy hell!
Right, but
everyone thinks that it's another "we got a" moment as far as on social media. The
idea that
he has to.
Right. Well, they may. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are not aware that he doesn't have to. Right. But I think that the idea is fine to put out there that you want him to. I mean, the public push to want to see his tax returns is fair. And while nothing's going to come of this in particular, I don't think, because, like you said, Trump has his appointed stooges in every department, right? So he's covered. Nobody's going to let this slip. But the idea that if we want this to be part of the law going forward, if this is important to running for president, releasing your tax returns, and we want to make that a legal requirement for running, well, I kind of like the continued stoking of the fire, even if it's not going to be initially successful.
Well, this is another instance where I go, hey, Congress, be Congress. You write the laws. You want it to be a federal law? You can make it happen.
Yeah.
But sitting there and essentially virtue signaling to the rest of the country, you're not doing shit.
I don't see this as completely useless, though. It's kind of a limp-wristed attack, but if you want to rewrite the law in some way so that it makes it a legal requirement to release taxes if you run for office, then this is part of establishing that as law, is saying, well, look, we want to avoid the situation that we're having now, where there are people in the public demanding to see this information and the president's refusing to. That is the solution. We're not going to get Trump's taxes retroactively. It's not going to happen.
Nope.
But if we make it a legal requirement for 2020, then maybe it's a different story. Maybe he either chooses to actually release his tax returns, maybe he chooses not to run at all, or maybe he runs, doesn't release his tax returns anyways, violates the law, and And I don't know what. Yeah, I kind of run out of steam there, right?
Well, I was going to say, if his stooge is still in...
If he violated plenty of laws, and here we are.
Well, I was going to say, too, if his stooge is still in place, what does it matter?
Yeah.
You don't think one hand's going to wash the other?
Yeah, but in what respect? When it's that clear cut, like the law is you have to release your tax returns, and he doesn't. That's not an easy thing to give cover for.
Yeah, but the Republicans are smart enough to make it so. Okay, yeah, we'll pass that law, and it'll go into effect in the 2022 election.
Or just say, oh yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll work on that. That is on the slate for the future when the heat has died off the issue, and we can just not pass it without anybody noticing.
And fine, I'll be that guy. There's also a law that says you have to tell the truth on the stand. Bill Clinton got out of it. So, I mean, it's...
Yeah, perjury, it's funny. Perjury is really only charged and even with a conviction sentenced if it's like a last-ditch effort to get somebody. Because people get on the stand and lie their ass off all the time. Shit. Half the motherfuckers in family court should be just thrown in jail right now. Boom. I mean, like, seriously, that's where the most bullshit lies are told on a daily basis. Traffic court would be the second thing. I mean, so if you... that's technically perjury, right? What happens? Nothing. Perjury is something they do if they got nothing else on you. It's like disturbing the peace. It's an excuse for a cop to put his hands on you. Then if you dare do anything but just go limp, that's resisting arrest. Now they got you on 2 charges.
To me, this just seems like they're trying to find another trap door, and it's not going to yield the fruit that they want. I mean, and it says it right in the letter, like it's an IRS policy, it's not a federal law. So the IRS can pretty much go. It pretty much it's legalese for if we want to.
Yeah, but the question still remains, like, do you think that he should? Right? If you think that he should, then this should still be an issue. If you think that the president should have released his taxes already, then even if you don't think you're going to be successful, there's some fights that you just have to not back down from, regardless of what you think the outcome is going to be. I guess, too,
I don't see why this is important to people. I don't. It's never been a factor for me when I voted. I could give 2 shits. I'm going to make the same assumption about every presidential candidate. You're probably somebody who's rich, who's doing what you can to keep most of your money on your tax returns.
Yeah. I would say that you're in the minority, though, in the
country. My question is, why does it matter so much to people? What is it going to affect? I guess that's my overall question. Like, okay, he does it. What changes? He's still president. You don't get your trap door. What's the point? Well, it's kind of like all this Joe Biden stuff. What's the point?
I mean, I don't see anyone phrasing this as some way to hobble him or remove him from the presidency, though. And sure, you may see some kooks on the internet who believe that this is, if the Mueller investigation fails, this is going to be one of the avenues. There's no facts to back any of that up.
I guess too, because part of it too is there's a lot of the sanctimonious is coming from Congress people on social media too. That's the thing. It's not just like, some dudes held up in a bunker or whatever, or just general social media idiots. A lot of these comments are coming from Congress people. And it's
right. Comments like he should have released his taxes already, and that this is something that the public should have access to.
And then I say to those people, how about all of you release your tax returns?
Most of them do.
Because again, I brought it up before. A lot of people come into that job making $175,000 a year and leave millionaires.
Yeah, well, look, I understand that it's not a barometer for you. I'm just saying it seems like most of the country disagrees with you on that.
But I guess, too, in the grand scheme of things, like how government works, what is it going to affect? Like, when you get into the actual gears and levers of government, what will it affect?
I don't understand.
Like, what is it going to change? Like, how does it affect his ability to be president? How does it affect? Like, that's what I'm saying.
Why would it? That's not the fight here.
But what makes it relevant?
What's relevant is the majority of the country believes that tax returns are some sign of credibility and honesty, provided there's nothing hinky going on in them, that it offers a sense of transparency from a candidate, and it's an issue that they think is a good judge of character. And that's why we have this modern tradition of releasing tax returns when running for office.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. It's not a tradition. It didn't start till the 70s. It's only a phenomenon of the last 40, 50 years.
No, I understand. But if this is important to the people, then, and if it is important to the majority of the people, then it should be in the laws.
Well, and it's on the Congress people. But again, be Congress. Do what your constituents want. Don't virtue signal. I guess my other problem with this too is, you talk about wanting to bring it up. It's supposed to be something that spurs change. Totally agree with that. But this isn't the first time it's come up. Like, all right, you railed on this before the Mueller report, and now that it's not bearing the fruit that you wish it would, we're going back to this. Like, I don't know, man.
I don't agree with the way that you paint that picture, because it's not like this is Adam Schiff going, I was heading up this investigation in Congress, and the Mueller report comes out, doesn't say what I want it to, and then he immediately pivots. And this is an ongoing issue that people have been pushing for.
Yes, but the thing is you haven't heard about it for 2 fucking years. It's been all Mueller. And now that Mueller's gone, it's back in the limelight.
I'm telling you, I've heard it the whole time.
Well, how come it took half his term to write that letter then?
I don't know. They've tried a lot of different things to try and get his tax returns, and they've come up with nothing so far.
And I love the concept that I wrote a sternly worded letter. Good luck. You might as well just internet comment.
Well, as opposed to what? Go over there and grab the guy by the collar, grab the IRS chief or whatever the fuck, and threaten him. This is how it's done, right? You write an official letter, you have official people sign it.
What's officially ignored?
No, I understand. Yes, it's not like they are pointing out that Trump is doing something illegal. He's doing something that is against the norms and suggests that he has something to hide. So I think the fight should continue to try and get his tax returns, regardless of the percentage of success.
Well, the letter said they got a week.
Mm-hmm.
They have till next Wednesday, according to the letter. So we'll know in a week.
Or what? What happens?
I don't know. The last part of the letter just says this must be by April 10th. And that was it. Okie dokie.
Yeah, it's like that student letter we were talking about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
An ultimatum with nothing to back it up, no stance, no position of strength to actually back anything up with is completely meaningless.
Yeah, I mean, essentially the IRS director can go, all right, cool, thanks. I'll let you know. I think just the overall thing that bugs me, this just seems like another thing where just Congress is wasting their time. Do constructive things.
I consider Congress doing constructive things as blocking as much of Trump's agenda as possible. I think that's the most constructive thing that you can do right now is to stop the country from backsliding.
Okay, fair enough. But how do his tax returns figure into that statement you just said?
Well, sometimes it's death by 1,000 cuts, right?
Yeah. But But again, what do his tax returns have anything to do with his policies?
Neither of you.
I didn't say that it.
Have either of you just stopped to think that maybe this is just because Trump was such a petty ass moron and such a pain in the ass to the Democrats when Obama was in office, that this is just, well, we'll see how you fucking like it.
Hey, true. Is this their birth certificate?
Because after all, guys, we are talking about people. Okay, yes, they are politicians. Yes, they are in positions of power in this country. Ultimately, they're people. They still have all the same flaws that we all do. And there's people that got Irish Alzheimer's like a motherfucker, and I guarantee you a lot of them are in fucking politics. They'll forget everything under the sun except for the grudge they hold. And I mean, to me, this is tit for tat, petty bullshit. And they're like, let's see if we can irritate our enemy. It's like, it's right out of the art of war. If your enemy's of ill disposition, irritate him. In other words, bait him into a fuck up. It might actually work with Trump. I don't think it was going to work with Obama because Obama was too cool of a customer for that shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a legitimate strategy to say, look, even if we have no legal ground to stand on, if we just keep needling him on these tax returns, then it forces him to come out over and over again saying reasons why he can't release them or address the issue, which is not good for him. He'd rather just everyone forget about it.
I just love it if he just came out and the president's going to address the country, and he just comes out and he's like, you motherfuckers, I swear to God, I fuck porn stars, I cheat on my wives, I got outside children, I have Russian hookers pissing on me. I give you all that, and you worried about my taxes? Fuck off, leave me alone. And he just walks away from the mic.
Mm-hmm. I mean, no doubt that, like anything else, if this information comes out, if the public gets access to, or even just the Congress gets access to his tax returns, it's not going to change anyone's mind. It's not going to, no Trump supporter is going to look at it and go, he cheats on his taxes. Well, that's the final straw.
I guess that's kind of one of my overall points too. It's not people who hate Trump are still going to hate him, and people who like him are still going to like him.
I think the worst thing.
But you're arguing. I mean, look, we understand that there's the magic bullet doesn't exist, right? We all thought Mueller had the magic bullet loaded in his gun, and then we found out it doesn't exist. But that doesn't mean that the fight's over.
I think the worst thing that could come out is that since it's been the 70s, you said that it's like an unwritten rule. Candidates will release their tax returns for a few years back. Mm-hmm. Those people knew they were going to make a run. It's been
common practice, yes.
Those people all knew they were pursuing a career in politics, so they made sure to hire the right accountants to make their tax returns look like, oh, I'm a good politician. Tax returns. Mm-hmm. What's going to come out of Trump's? Trump's a businessman. His
tax dodges left and right.
Yeah, his shit's gonna look like a businessman's tax returns. Because no matter how many times he joked about it on Howard Stern in the late 90s and 2000s, he didn't make a legit run at the presidency like he did in 2016. Like he made like half-ass attempts that were just above the porn star who ran for governor of fucking California. It was more like, hey, I'm gonna run for president. Now watch my reality show. Like that's what they always felt like. 2016 was a legit run. So if they go back 6 years, even if he did from 2015, 16, 17, 18, he's cleaned up his shit to try to look as politician in his tax returns as possible. Those previous years, he's still going to look like a dirty, fucking, filthy, goddamn businessman.
Right. That's going to have probably most of his money outside of the U.S. Stashed in banks outside the U.S., coming in from sources outside the U.S. Yeah.
I mean, I can't disagree with any of that. The problem is that as long as we've had legal loopholes in place at that point in time when he was doing that, There's not much that can be done about it now, even if it is illegal now.
Yeah, and
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net. ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
I don't want to seem like I'm pivoting here. This is just a question I've had kind of concerning the situation. How come we care so much about all this, but we generally, like as a group, don't give any shits? Amazon paid 0 taxes last year and made like $7 billion.
Yeah, it's
like it baffles me. Like the things we choose to care about.
Well,
like,
I mean,
is it because we like Bezos? Because we agree with him more ideologically, so he gets a pass?
Or is it because he's smart enough to keep his fucking self out of the political spotlight? Well, like, look, I'm making more money than God over here. I probably really shouldn't go stir the pot and get as many people pissed off at me as possible to where they got a fucking, axe to grind.
He did buy the Washington Post.
The mistake that people are making with Bezos is thinking that, sure, he's making a lot of money for himself, right? But he's also offering something back to the people, right? He wants to buy up Whole Foods and lower prices. He wants to, he creates Amazon and it starts driving down prices and upping expectations on shipping, as far as getting your stuff in like a couple days. But he's not offering any kind of radical business model for any of this. This is kind of just on a larger scale, the same old go in and dominate a section of the economy by driving down prices in some way artificially, wiping out your competition, and then the prices can gradually jack back up.
Yeah,
I don't order a lot of stuff off of Amazon, but almost everybody else in my office does. On a daily basis, there's at least 3 or 4 people getting shit delivered to them from Amazon. And they were talking about it at work the other day. They're like, oh, yeah, well, I guess Amazon Prime isn't offering guaranteed 2-day shipping on everything anymore. And a lot of their shipping is now being... because they have a lot of third-party vendors, right? So you buy something that's on the Amazon site, but you're actually buying it from somebody else, but Amazon is still taking care of the prime shipping for you. Now they're just pushing that on to the vendor that you're actually getting it from and relying on them to ship it in a timely manner, which doesn't always happen. So we're experiencing right now this, Bezos comes in and has this grand idea for you're going to get shit cheap and it's going to be delivered to your doorstep and it's going to be fast. And now that has come in and dominated the market, suddenly the shipping times start getting longer and the prices start coming up.
Mm-hmm. I noticed that I almost canceled Prime this year. I forgot to, so I'm stuck for another year. But yeah, I was telling Mandy, like, we don't order that much anymore. And a lot of the stuff we've been ordering doesn't come in 2 days. What the fuck am I paying for? Yep. Like, the whole point of Amazon Prime is you get your shit quick.
Right.
They're hoping that you're going to be happy with the streaming service and the original stuff they offer in the streaming service to where you're going to go, okay, I'll wait for certain things to take 3 days instead of 2.
Right. But it
That's why it's
also,
bundled.
What are your other options now, right?
By the way, when you were talking about how Amazon was like, just come in, dominate the market, artificially lower prices, all I could picture is like Jeff Bezos like giving a speech from Conan. I'm here to crush my competition, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of the United States Postal Service.
But we make another mistake we make with guys like him and like Mark Zuckerberg is we think they're altruistic. Absolutely not. They are businessmen. They care about profit. They can wrap themselves in all the ideologies they want, but they are business. They are capitalists. At the end of the day, they're there to make money.
Well, I mean, yeah. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
we think they're these CEOs with a higher purpose. Nope. They are CEOs that want a big bank account.
Well,
They just fooled you.
I don't know. I think Bezos may have a higher purpose. It's just not one that he wants to let on to. There's a story that came out today that Amazon's talking about launching a bunch of satellites up into space to provide internet. And I'm just like, the fucking satellites and rockets. And like, if he's got a secret base in a volcano, like, this is all going to add up.
Well, my question to him is, what are these satellites for?
Internet.
I just love the idea that he goes to like his secret lair and he puts his little fake mustache on. And he starts twirling it, and he's like, "Whoa!"
Right.
Just this, like as you said, Bond villain. Just
right. Bond villain, but he's got a Bond villain with the PR agent that can come up to him and say,
shave the mustache.
Don't staple your fingers in public. It's a bad look.
And you made a great point in the pre-show chat, Aaron. Everyone's worried about Elon Musk. Meanwhile, nobody's watching Bezos.
Well, it's kind of scary that he wants to put a bunch of satellites in orbit for internet. Okay, like, so is he trying to start a monopoly on the internet? To where he drives out the competition? Because at that point,
Amazon Web Services is starting to gain a lot of steam. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't coming out of nowhere. Verizon is finally getting their 5G technology up and running in some cities around the world. That's just going to spread like cancer from wind turbines across the country. And that's going to be satellite delivered. So, yeah, I mean, all this infrastructure that the Verizon themselves have invested in, and Sprint and all these companies, it's going to be useless. All the infrastructure that we've been using for landlines, through cable lines, is going to be completely useless. We're going to get the fastest internet that we can from the sky, and all our TV is going to come through there too. So, I mean, as a practical matter, yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that he is investing in this technology. It's just, sure, it's a little bit tinfoil hatty, but it just makes me nervous that it's because it's one person, right? It's not even just one corporation. Mm-hmm. Like, sure, Apple wants to dominate everything. They released their TV and gaming platform today, and they want to be they're constantly expanding. But it's a company. You don't even think, like, Tim Cook is not Apple, even if the president refers to him as Tim Apple. He didn't found the company. He's not driving it. He's not, like, Bezos is like, I personally want rockets and satellites and alternative energy and all this shit. And I'm like,
so Jeff Bezos said this, not Jeff Amazon?
It's right. And I mean, honestly, like, maybe he's looking to a future where corporations are going to be more important than countries.
And the president talking about, I really respect the current president of Amazon, Jeff Amazon, but I really respected his father, Jeff Amazon Prime. He's the one I really respected. Like, he's not a transformer, President. Donnie, get away from the mic. Yeah. This is a W type fuck up. Get away from the mic, man. It's like when the tsunami happened and they had to tell Bush, it's not tsunami, it's tsunami, President. Please, now go up there and have you give your speech. Tsunami.
On the teleprompter, it's spelled SUENOMI.
It is spelled phonetically. Yeah. Like copywritten for fucking radio.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry. Oh. It's just the goofy shit that pops in my head because I'm just like, he would Amazon Prime. That's the Amazon owner's dad, right? He had to start the company. Oh, Jesus.
Well, so what else is going on with Trump this week? He backed off his threat to close down the border.
So avocados are safe?
Yeah.
You got 1 year, Mexico. Get your shit together.
Put Mexico on a 1 year warning to stop flooding our country with immigrants and drugs.
Get right on that.
Right.
Isn't that like a someone who's like if a rapist hops out of a bush and grabs a chick and she's like, I'm going to give you 10 minutes to get your hand off my fucking tit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like how are you going to say this is a national emergency and then go walk it back to, well, I'll give you a year to think about it. You know, you go to your room for a year and think, do you want the belt or do you want to, you know? But wasn't he ready like 2 weeks ago to try to declare the border situation a national emergency?
Yeah. Yep. And this border shutdown that he was proposing was all part of that. But yeah, I mean, he had no serious support.
Yeah, see, the border shutdown is like the one issue in like the last 2 years where everybody came together and went, "Are you fucking crazy?"
Yeah.
No.
It would cost us so much money. It would cost this country so much. And for something that is a problem, but this is like going out and buying a $10,000 security system for your home because you have a hole in the screen and some mosquitoes got in. Like, it's not even going to directly address the issue. Because people are driven over the border by the demand that we have for money to give them for jobs, right? They're not coming over here for nothing. So you shut down the border, you shut down trade, you shut down immigration, you shut down all of that. Then what happens when you open up the border? Well, now you have this huge demand, and people are just going to come flooding in. You think of that time when you shut down the border, all the companies are going to restructure and go, well, maybe this wasn't the best way to actually harvest our crops, is to do so with illegal immigrants or staff our cleaning company.
Who's going to mow the lawn at Mar-a-Lago if he shuts down the border?
Who's going to...
Well, they'll just call Robert Kraft and say, hey, where do you get your Asian sex trafficked hookers from? Send them on over to us.
Mm-hmm.
I found that humorous. You got 1 year. Okay.
Yeah, what's going to change in that year?
Okay, Mr. Lane.
But to not even offer anything, like there's no Trump 1 year plan for getting this in order. He's just putting it completely on Mexico.
But you know, think about it. Do the math. What's next year? 2020. I bet you in a year he finds a way to put it off till after the election. Fuck, shit, I'll write this down. I'll bet each of you $1 American. That in a year he comes up with an excuse to push it off till after the election.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, just like he's going to do with healthcare. I mean, unless people in his administration actually get him to stop talking about it because they don't think that they want him to talk about healthcare at all. But he sees it as an issue. He's been talking about tackling healthcare with zero plan and zero support from his fellow Republicans. But yeah, I mean, that's just going to be something he can dangle in front of his voters and go, oh, you get me into office in 2020, we can solve this healthcare issue too. It's like you're being blackmailed by your own president.
Yeah, but this is a tactic he's tried before.
Yeah.
If I'm not reelected, this country will be in for a really bad time. And like, are you seriously? That's straight up gangster shit.
Mm-hmm. I have all the tough people on my side: structural workers, policemen, bikers, the army.
I might as well walk up to the local bakery and be like, hey, if you don't pay me protection money, it'd be a shame if a brick came through this window.
Right. Like, I understand the fear, and I would even Trump on his own would probably refuse to leave office if he didn't if he loses in 2020. I don't think it's going to be a concerted Republican effort to keep him in place. I think the minute that somebody else is president-elect and he's no longer commander-in-chief, then there's going to be guys that walk in there and march his ass out because they follow orders.
Yep.
Regardless of whether they're Trump supporters. I mean, Rich, you know guys in the military, right?
Uh-huh.
You think, are they Trump supporters? And if we're going to generalize?
Yeah, I'd say it's a good 50-50. I would say most of them are conservative, but a lot of the conservative ones, literally about half, don't like Trump.
Do you think even the most diehard Trump supporter in the military, if tasked with the job of removing him from office once he loses an election, is going to refuse that order?
No, not at the risk. I mean, if you're to the point where you are one of the people that has to go in and physically remove the president, you're a career person. You're risking your career if you say.
Yeah, you'll get court-martialed over that shit.
Yeah, you're doing federal time.
Yeah.
And I mean,
even if some people in this country would look at you as a hero, you'd be the hero in jail. You'd be the hero in federal prison. You'd be the hero in Gitmo.
Yeah, I mean, it's rough because I mean, I don't know. I've had friends that were in the military that weren't career guys, or weren't trying to make a career of it. They just want to do their 4 and get out. Right. And they get out and they talk all this shit about, oh, they told me if there was another civil war, they told me to fire on American citizens if they were rioting, not to fire it on them. And I'm like, I don't know how much of that to believe and how much of that's wolf tickets. I mean, it's easy to say that shit, but when it comes down to it, you know what I'm saying? I mean, and let's be honest, if they have to remove Trump, I doubt he's going to whip out a fucking gold-plated AK and start going all fucking Tony Montana on him. Oh. It's not like he's not going to be like, hey, here I am, come get me, cocksucker. He's just going to be like, what's he going to do? Take a swing at one of those guys? I know he's delusional, but he has to have a mirror somewhere around him. Those guys are highly trained, best shape of their fucking life, and it's Trump.
Yeah, he's still a 72-year-old man.
Yeah, and he's more and more. It's funny. Other presidents went gray. Trump gets more and more pear-shaped. So he must find his solace in food somewhere.
Well, you've seen the man's diet. I don't know how at 72 he's eating like that. Like, I'm about to turn 40 and I'm taking serious looks at how I eat. This motherfucker's still eating like he's in college.
Hey, man, some people when it comes to that shit, they want a genetic lottery. They can eat like that and it doesn't affect them like it does the majority of people. I don't know. But I mean, still, it's...
Wait. Did you just say that Trump won the genetic lottery?
When it comes to that... Well,
I think just on his cholesterol. That might be the only thing he's getting away with.
I mean, well, the man hit the lottery as far as what family he had no choice to be born to, but was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like luck hasn't played a factor in his life at all. Right. Hitting the lottery is not a skill. It's
You're saying that Trump isn't a self-made man?
That's exactly what he's saying.
Yes.
If your dad gives you $1 million, you are not self-made.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm thinking back to like if my dad was like, now, if I just gave you your first vehicle and didn't make you earn it or pay for it, you'd be a piece of shit who wouldn't appreciate it. I'm like, if that's his attitude about a fucking first car hoopty, even if he had billions of dollars, he'd be like, I'm not giving you $1 million. Get the fuck out of here. Here, go work for my company and earn it.
Yeah, he'd tell you, no one gave me $1 million.
He's like, I'll give you a fucking job. That way you can get the fuck out my house. And I'll make sure you get paid, but I'm not handing you $1 million to go piss away. It's not happening.
But then again, I mean, we are the country that calls, what's her name, Kylie Jenner, a self-made billionaire.
Right.
Your famous sister had nothing to do with the makeup contract you got at 19 years old, because that's what happens to 19-year-olds. I mean, remember when you signed your shoe contract at 19, Rich?
Yeah, I haven't heard from Doc Martens after I sent that letter that said, here, I've signed the contract. I know you didn't ask me to, but I did sign it. So here, can I get some free shit now? And I just haven't heard back. So it's been a while.
All 19-year-olds get endorsement deals.
Well, and first of all, no one in the Kardashian family did shit to get famous. Their fucking father sticking by OJ is what put their ass in the spotlight.
Kim fucking Ray J kind of helped.
Yeah, but was Ray J popular enough on his own to actually, like, if we didn't know the Kardashian name at all, then it would just be Ray J fucked some random bitch, and we would have forgotten about it.
Ray J was black pop culture popular enough. I don't know, like, because he's Randy's
brother.
Yeah, he was on that show.
Not so popular that him dumping a load into somebody is going to give him a reality TV show.
No, and if the chick hadn't have been, Robert Kardashian's daughter, she'd have just been Kim, the cum receptacle. You'd have had dudes that have been like, oh, she's fat ass, good looking, useless with a dick in her mouth, but you can always train the bitch. And Vivid would have been calling her up, trying to sign her up to a contract. Right. That'd have been, she wouldn't have had a boom show on E.
No, she would probably be a pretty decently paid Instagram influencer.
Yeah, she'd be a cam girl somewhere.
Or a cam girl, yeah.
That show has been on. It is going into season 16. We're broken, everybody.
Who is still watching that show?
I'm married to one of them.
Oh, I was going to say. Wait, I was going to ask. Does the better half watch the Housewives of whatever?
Yeah, she is. She is an anomaly, like my old roommate Brandon. She is so smart and watches some of the dumbest TV. Like he used to watch all the daytime court shows and shit, and Jerry Springer. It's like, dude, like, you're smart. Why do you watch this shit?
That's a good point, though, because too often we correlate the intelligence of the person with the type of entertainment that we like, that they happen to like, and they have nothing to do with one another.
But Mandy and I both treat the TV the same way. It is there to entertain us. And,
right.
Like, it is the idiot. But when I'm watching TV, I am not watching TV to think. So, I mean, I hate to say it, but, I can kind of see why these things proliferate. It's brain candy. You don't have to think to watch it. Mm-hmm. You go in one ear and out the other, and you go on about your day. It's not going to fire you up like watching the news.
I don't know, man. The ex-wife watched those Real Housewives shows, and she'd get right. As soon as the show was over, she'd hop right on the internet and get right in the comment section.
Oh, no, yeah, Mandy is not. She is not that person.
Okay.
I just tell her, like, all they do on these shows is drink and yell.
And accuse each other of cheating and fucking so and so's man, and yeah.
Oh, dude, there's New Jersey, there's Beverly Hills, there's Atlanta, man. There's I know way too more about these shows than I'd like to admit.
Oh shit. Well, whatever, man. It's just yeah. What are you gonna do? I mean, I think Law and Order is a fucking stupid show when he gets right down to it, especially what it's become with SVU. But it's just background noise, something to, how many people sit down and actually just watch TV with nothing else around them? Not their phone, not a laptop, not nothing. Just sit and stare at the television. It doesn't seem like it happens much anymore. It seems like television's more and more just background noise. That's why shit like this can flourish, because it's mindless. You can put it on and not pay attention for 2-3 minutes, and then look up and see something and go, oh, that bitch is stupid. And then look back down at your phone and fuck off on it for another 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's the baseball of entertainment. You can actually miss whole chunks and still enjoy when something exciting happens.
I think we should have it all, and we do, right? If you want mindless entertainment, there's plenty of it. But if you want something that's actually going to engage you and make you think, or something like that, something really absorbing, then we have more of that shit than ever before as well. And I like it all. On my lunch break, I watched an episode of The Simpsons that I've seen a million times before, because I just want something just to, for some reason, this is where TV has really corrupted me. I have to watch something unless I'm actually eating with somebody else, enjoying a meal with somebody, then I'll sit down and talk to them. But if I'm eating on my own, I need to watch TV. I need something to distract me from just staring into my salad. But when I get home at night, I sit down and I watch the new season of the OA, which is something that's going to totally suck me in and totally blow my mind with every episode. I'm not going to watch that at work because I can't be as engaged in it. I might get called away, and I don't want to sit there and cry with my headphones on at work. So it's situational. I think the dangerous part is when you take shows, the so-called reality shows that are presented, and people accept those as real. I think most of the people at this point that are watching this, watching shows like this, like your wife, Chris, understand that there's a certain amount of scripting going on, that this isn't just with what they happen to catch with the cameras.
I think these have replaced soap operas.
Right.
Exactly. Because I have a few people I know from work who are younger, and I guess they're bringing back The Hills or whatever, one of those mid-2000s MTV supposedly reality shows, which were like teenage versions of like Dynasty and Falcon Crest.
Right.
But it was just like, oh, but this is reality TV, and you knew that shit wasn't reality. And they know it. They're like, it's basically like soap operas was for you old people. And I'm like, oh, because they don't exist anymore. Like the dinosaurs. Got you, assholes.
Yeah, I mean, I never got into the daily, daytime soap opera thing, but there was plenty of primetime soap opera style shows that I devoured greedily, like The O.C. It was just a nighttime soap opera, and it was kind of ridiculous, and it was melodramatic, and I ate it up.
Never would have pictured you just sitting there chilling, waiting for the new episode of The O.C.
Well, that was at the time too, and you're younger and you have a lot of friends and you all like to get together and do shit. It was a good show that everyone could gather around and watch. And if somebody talks over something, you're not going to miss anything.
That's why I watched Entourage.
Right.
My friends watched it. They all got together on Sunday and watched it. Fuck it, I'll watch it. It's an excuse to get together and get drunk.
Yeah. I've been to so many 90210 parties. Never would sit down and watch the show on my own, but, that's where everyone's going to hang out.
What
kind of a community thing?
Late teens, early 20s, we'd get together on Monday nights and watch wrestling.
Right.
It's just an excuse to get drunk with your friends.
From award-winning filmmaker Enid Zentlis comes podcast How My Grandmother Won World War II, a series about a fractured family that unites when they discover their matriarch was possibly a spy for the Allies. Airing January 27th on Spreaker and everywhere you get your podcasts.
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net. ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
Well, I don't know, but kind of loosely related to this, there's another development this week in the whole college admission scandal. And there was talk of what are the two main? It's Lori Loughlin and what was the other?
Felicity Huffman.
Felicity Huffman, right? Let's talk about jail time for these people.
Come on. I mean, really?
I just think that's ridiculous.
Yes.
I kind of feel like it's. I mean, I kind of feel like I did on the Jussie Smollett thing, right? Even though, this case is still ongoing, we'll see what kind of punishment they'll have. It's not like anything's been dropped, but their name's already been ruined, right? In the press, they will probably have to pay thousands, if not millions, of dollars.
She had Lori Loughlin had $1 million bond. Wasn't Adam Carolla going off last week? Avenatti's was $300,000, but hers was $1 million.
Right, because it's not based off of how much of a risk you are or anything. It's just based off how much money do you have? How much can you afford?
Or if they don't want you leaving, how much money can you not afford?
Right.
But jail time for what? I mean, quite honestly, the person that should, if any jail time is given out, should be the guy they both paid. He was the guy that was the one that was really gaming the system. They were just, we talked about it first, they were essentially, this guy was a consultant these people paid.
Well, last I heard, the most that they had any of the parents in this situation on, or guardians of these kids, the most they had them on was mail fraud. And the maximum for mail fraud is 20 years, but who the fuck has ever gotten 20 years from mail fraud alone?
Yeah, but 20 years, I mean, that's the maximum. I don't know if they have a minimum, but that means that if they want to charge her with that, either one of them, they could serve actual multiple years in jail.
Like, can we put real criminals in jail, please?
And not even that. I mean, can we stop putting people in jail? It's kind of ridiculous how many people we put in jail for all kinds of reasons. I mean, yeah, there are some people who are just violent.
Yes, that's what jail should be for. The violent people who cannot function in regular society. That's what jail should be for.
Right. Not tax cheats, not deadbeat dads, not drug crimes, not sex
you got
crimes.
caught with a joint or a gram of coke, or
not even breaking and entering. Grand theft auto. Like this shit, we should not be putting these people in fucking crime college.
Man, I don't know about that. You start getting into thieves. I mean, there's degrees of that shit. There's a difference between.
There absolutely is.
I'm going to take advantage.
Strokes.
No. I understand, and I'm just saying. But I mean, there's a difference between carjacking and car with a window down. Let me fucking crack the steering column and hotwire this place. You know what I'm saying? Like that. One's pretty much not a victimless crime, but there's no physical victim. And the other is, dude, you were waving a deadly weapon in someone's face, threatening to kill them if they didn't get out their car.
Yeah, I mean, I consider threatening somebody's life violent.
Yeah, you got to go to jail. Sorry, dude. Don't care if it was a fucking fake gun or it wasn't even loaded. Even though wasn't that the thing in Raising Arizona? Nick Cage would never rob a place with a loaded gun, so he'd only get 2 to 3 years in prison.
Right.
But no, from the last report I heard, that was the one charge that they were all looking at being charged with. And one of the actors, that's how they referred to this person. They didn't name him by name. They said it. Inside sources have already said they'd be willing to plead guilty, to plead down to a lesser charge. So that's probably what's going to happen. And there's probably going to be a hefty fine. Government's got to get paid. Fuck you, pay me. That's just how that's going to work.
Yeah. And I agree. I don't think there's a high likelihood of anyone seeing a prison sentence over this. But just the idea that we're talking about it or using it as leverage, using it as a negotiating tactic, of like, you know, you're going to want to settle this or, you know, or do something. You can't just laugh this off because we could send you to prison over it is ridiculous.
Yeah,
I mean, find the shit out of them. Let them, you know,
hit them where they live. They're rich. They're ATMs.
Yeah, we can do good shit for people who need it in this country. We can, or we could just waste it like we do most of the tax dollars. But I think that's a proper punishment. You know, keeping these people from doing whatever they do, making their living. I mean, they're millionaires. They have income and they pay taxes on it. And instead of getting that tax money from them, we're just going to let them rot in a cell for a while. How does that benefit society?
It doesn't. Quite honestly.
Well, for the people who own privately owned prisons and run them for a profit, they're going to say, creates jobs.
It's like Martha Stewart. Oh, great, we made an example of some rich people. What did it really do?
Yeah,
find them where they get them where they live, dude. And also, if I'm Lori Loughlin, I'd be like, why'd I have to pay $500,000 and Felicity Huffman only had to pay $15,000?
Well, yeah, because I got to imagine between her and William H. Macy, they got a pretty good nest egg. Mm-hmm. You know, those aren't exact. You know, she was on Desperate Housewives at the peak of that shit, so she was probably getting paid. And I mean, yeah, he's not like Brad Pitt, but he's a damn well respected actor, and Senseless has been on for 9 seasons.
But I guess to answer my own question,
Shameless, sorry.
From what I heard, Lori Loughlin just pretty much figured her kids were idiots and paid to get them in. Where I believe Felicity Huffman just paid for someone to take the SAT for her kid.
Yeah,
Lori Loughlin just went
here. There are different
just,
levels.
Yeah, she just went here. Just take a bunch of money. Just let them in.
Well, did you? Because I guess her daughter is an influencer on some form of social media.
Not anymore.
And yes, did you hear the story there? She said that, you know, her mother has now ruined her life.
Yeah, and she's living with her boyfriend in Malibu. That's a protest.
I'm just thinking, it ruins your life. If you keep
you kicked out of the college you weren't attending classes at?
No, if she keeps popping off with that good shit, she's going to really fuck her life up and take her out to family will.
Yeah.
That's what's going to fuck her life up the most. Bitch, it didn't matter if you had first of all, she's good looking. So if you want to try to become intelligent, that's just a bonus, okay? You've already fucking hit the lottery. 2, her family's wealthy. The fuck was she going to do? She wasn't going for a PhD. She wasn't going into nuclear physics or anything like that. You come out as a fucking party planner.
She was on social media saying that she wasn't attending her classes, that she really didn't plan on attending her classes. So what is she pissed about? You got kicked out of the school that you weren't going to?
She got pissed because now everyone's going to know that, well, I got something I didn't deserve. And as much as people love to throw around that entitled, you know, you're entitled and you have this privilege, when you accuse them of being entitled or having privilege, boy, do those people flip the fuck out.
I want to say you're hot and rich. Pretty much everything you got because you don't deserve it. Like, you get everything handed to you. It's like being good at sports if you're a boy at a young age. People just kiss your ass from a young age and continue to kiss it till you get old.
See, this is why this would be my worst fear if I was a wealthy parent, especially a celebrity wealthy parent, that I'm going to produce these kids that just bring nothing to the table because they never had to bring anything to the table because everything was just always there for them. So they never had to learn to develop a sense of humor or a personality or empathy or the ability to hold a conversation, any of that. And I mean, Lori Loughlin, I have to believe, had as misguided and as fucked up of a route as she took, she had good intentions for her daughter. But I mean, at a certain point, don't you got to look and be realistic and be like, look, kid, you got to fucking sink or swim on your own. And let's be honest here, it's not like you were tearing up the books through high school. If she literally just bought her daughter's way into college, and her daughter's going, oh, I didn't plan on going to those classes anyways. She knew what kind of student her daughter was.
Yeah, that's what she paid outright. Just here's $250,000, take her, and then here's another $250,000, take her sister. That was just her mom knowing the room. Like, quite honestly. But yeah, I think it'd be a waste of taxpayer money and everybody's time to put either of these people in prison. Like, but I think the guy who orchestrated the whole thing should be the guy going to prison. Essentially, these people were pawns, in this guy's crazy, his crazy business or scheme or whatever the fuck it was.
Oh, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, see, I don't even think he should go to. Yeah, he probably will, but I don't think he should. But I was saying, we put way too many people in prison. I think that's the answer for everything.
Well, I mean, who knows? Because we talked about the Jussie Smollett thing, or Jussie Smollett, whatever. However you pronounce his name, whatever the fuck.
Doesn't matter. It matters zero.
I refuse to learn his shitty fucking name, anyways. The whole situation with that. Now, City of Chicago has announced it intends to file a civil court or a suit in civil court because they want reimbursement for all costs of the investigation. Mm-hmm. So,
which I guess he's refusing to do. I think that just broke before we started recording. That he or his lawyers or legal team or somebody basically announced that's not going to happen. We're not going to pay this back.
So I mean, maybe in some fucked up way, the American court system is starting to realize when it comes to these type of people, they can buy their way out of jail time for the most part. The way to hurt them is to fucking hit them in the pocketbook. And the government's never met a dime of someone else's it didn't like. So, that's chocolate and peanut butter right there. That's two great taste great together. So, I mean, if that's the case, yeah, they might not end up doing time, even the guy who orchestrated it. But they're going to spend a fuck ton in lawyers' fees trying to keep from having to pay back somebody. I can just see that coming just down the road 100 miles from now. So maybe that's their punishment. You flashed your money around, we'll take your money as much as we can legally.
Well, what about Biden? He was in the news a lot this week.
Yeah, it's from hero 3 years ago to sex criminal.
Well, it really shows you how quick the Republicans believe Mr. O'Rourke has dropped out of favor. And of course, I'm sure they're all patting themselves on the back saying it's our memes that did it.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I mean, whoever strategizes these attacks, they're just doing it based off of the poll numbers. They see who's leading the polls this week in the Democratic race for 2020, and that's where they focus their energy on. Who they think is going to be the biggest threat. So yeah, last week it was Beto. This week it was quote unquote creepy Uncle Joe.
Well, I mean, first of all, I guess we need to establish amongst us, does he come off creepy to you?
Yes, we talked about it 2-3 years ago. He's awkward and handsy.
Mm-hmm. Who's Jimmy, the overly handsy intern?
Yeah. The only touchy orderly.
Overly touchy. That's it. I mean, I've been around people that, like, when they shake your hand, they either give you the two hand shake, they put their other hand over your hand, or they touch your your arm while they're with their hand they're not shaking your hand with, and it's like usually I'm like, what do you fucking want? What are you selling? That's how I feel when people are like that. So it just comes off as fake and whatever. But I got to admit, man, the whole sniffing hair shit, that's always been creepy. I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't give a fuck about your political affiliation. I don't give a fuck. Even that Justin Timberlake video, Cry Me a River, when the chick he's stalking that's not Britney but looks just like her in the video comes out of the shower and he closes his eyes and sniffs her hair as she walks by. I was like, oh, dude, really?
Yeah, that's always been a weird move in my book as well.
I mean,
but there's creepy, and then there's creepy that seems to define something about this person, right? I don't think that this is a definitive creepiness, like his touching and hair smelling means that there's probably some other shit going on, that he's got some weird fetish. I think it's just him. Yeah,
there's a difference between creepy Uncle Joe and beaten off into a potted plant. There is a very wide chasm.
Right.
That's very specific. Did someone do that I'm forgetting about?
Harvey Weinstein.
Ah, yes. Okay. All right. I knew it was too specific just to be a random reference. Well, I mean, yeah, and you would like to think that if someone is just this touchy-feely of a person, that they're intelligent, and that they're intelligent enough to understand that they better not have any dirt in their fucking, you know what I'm saying? Any dirt in their past that could be related to this and be like, see, he was giving us warning signs the whole time. But but as we've talked about conspiracy theory people before, this is a perfect thing for them to jump on, all the conspiracy theorists on the right, because it plays into the whole, there's the liberal elites are somehow like all drinking the blood and fucking children or something bullshit that they're always trying to push. Plus, this is every conspiracy theorist's favorite fucking part of a conspiracy. It's the hints that get left behind, which makes no sense if you're trying to hide something from somebody to start leaving hints. But, this is like, oh, he's giving us a clue. It's like
it's like everyone's a fucking Zodiac killer.
Yeah, exactly. And they turn into the Hardy Boys from from South Park. I'm getting a clue. I got a raging clue right now.
But the fascinating thing I think about this though is it's how it's dividing up the Democrats though. I mean, there's like half people have come out. A lot of people come out to support him, and a lot of people have come out against him.
And I know this is kind of a hard thing to judge, and maybe sometimes it just depends on who you follow on Twitter. But I haven't seen it really be divisive in that way. I think a lot of journalists are jumping on this because it's quote unquote a story. I don't think that a lot of Democrats, both voters and representatives, are actually taking this seriously. I mean, I think serious in a way that it's been addressed. This is another thing that I think broke right before we started recording, but there was an official announcement from Biden. Actually, not an official announcement, a video that he recorded, a statement.
Yes.
About this, saying that, that he basically saying, look, I'm handsy. I like to put my hands on people, and I maybe didn't realize how much I was making people uncomfortable, and explained that it was coming from a place of trying to put some intimacy back in politics and realize that this is about people. But, obviously he's made some people really uncomfortable with his behavior. But even then, like, nobody who has an accusation thinks that, and it's not even really an accusation, is it really? It's just like he did something that I found made me uncomfortable. It's not like it's not evidence of anything else, any other further behavior of him taking advantage of women or anything like this.
I don't know, but when you see articles from, things like Vox, Biden allegations, a reminder of what women deal with every day. Like, can we tone it down? Joe Biden, Lucy Flores, and the creepy Uncle Joe problem. Like, it's...
Yeah. No, I'm agreeing with you.
He's been creepy the whole time.
Yeah, but this is a lot of... These are just reporters looking to fill some column inches. It's a story that people are talking about, and they're not going to be left out in the rain on this one.
Well, the thing is, what reporters forget is people read that shit, and they tend to believe it, and some people take it as the gospel.
Well, can we stop attributing the title reporter to these type people?
Yeah.
These people aren't reporters. These are people who find something in the news and then try to make news by making an issue and coming from a point of view. This is basically op-ed people giving their opinion on shit. This isn't reporters. They're not giving you the facts of the situation. They're just going, well, this is how I feel. Okay, well, that's great, but it doesn't make you a fucking journalist, dude. You're just giving your opinion. You know what you should do? Put the keyboard down, get a fucking podcast like everybody else. Fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, this is pure opinion, baby.
We're not on here like, we're journalists and we're breaking news as we're going here. Hold on a sec, something just came, no, fuck that. But these idiots...
Breaking news, some dipshit on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously, if I was working for a legitimate newspaper and I was doing the hiring and someone come to me and, okay, so who have you wrote for? Jezebel, BuzzFeed, IGN. Okay, you can go.
Yeah. You need journalist training because you're not one.
Yeah.
You can write editorial pieces, but you're not a journalist.
And if they, I'm not good enough to work here. No, there's always room to start off in the mailroom. Can you read? Then you can deliver mail. And you learn your trade on the way up because you don't have one. You are literally a shit stirrer. That's all you do. You post inflammatory shit to get responses. That's not news. That's making news. That's manipulating the news.
Yeah, that's you're going for clicks. You're going for eyeballs. Your goal isn't to inform. Which another problem I've had with this. We're talking about this pre-show chat. Why? If there's nothing coming out about sexual assault, nothing coming out about sexual harassment, why? What is the point of this?
Because it's completely unacceptable. That's why.
You were made uncomfortable?
There's no circumstance where a man should be smelling a woman's hair. Not in any circumstance is that acceptable.
When the strippers ride you reverse cowgirl, and she's flinging her hair back in your face, and you've paid for 4 dances up front, you can sniff her fucking hair all you want like a creep, okay?
Is that the most legitimate way to smell a woman's hair that you can think of? There's many other more natural ways of just loving couples that smell each other.
Oh, couples?
But sure.
Oh, no. Here's the thing. But, you can be creepy with your wife, and your wife can be creepy with you. That's part of the beauty of intimacy. There's a certain level of shit. Like, I had a girl in a relationship who I'd come off stage and she'd go, "Can I sniff your armpit?" And I'm like, "Why, weirdo?" And she's like, "You smell good when you come off stage." And I'm like, if I'm getting pussy later, there you go. Get a good huff,
Yeah. Well, Rich, you may not have felt like it at the time, but I hate to say it, she was taking advantage of you.
Yes.
You should have stood your ground and said no.
Oh,
there's no circumstance in which that should be acceptable.
Hold on a sec. There's my Me Too moment. Okay, I gotta post. All right. So,
and quite honestly, too, if the standard is I felt uncomfortable, then I'm gonna have to call out all my aunts and uncles, my grandparents. It's.
Oh, but that's the thing.
Yeah,
that's the thing with this generation that you don't touch me unless I give you permission. I don't give a fuck who you are in the family.
That should go across the board for anyone, right? But as far as whether this is going to stick to Joe Biden, I really don't think so. I think if you take the journalism out of, and I put that in quotes, if you take that out of this situation, you'll just see that some candidate made someone uncomfortable They apologized appropriately for it, and it seems to have no effect on his poll numbers.
Look, you know what this is?
Kind of a non-issue.
This is the political equivalent to the punk test you get on the street. All right? When someone's trying to test you and they don't know you, they start doing shit, see how much of a punk you are, see how much shit you're going to take. You know, they walk past you and they'll bump into you. When there's plenty of room, there's no reason to. They'll step on your foot. They'll see if you react that way. You know, especially when you're playing like pickup sports, it tends to happen a lot. And this is what this is. This is the Republicans looking for soft spots in the Democrats. And the fact that the usual suspects hopped up and tried to fucking divide the Democratic Party over this shit into, well, do you support him or not? Or do you support the accusers? Do you believe women or do you believe men? The patriarchy, by the way. And it's working. So, I mean, but it's not, here's the thing. This is just the opening shots of this war, folks. It's going to get worse as November 2020 draws closer.
Yeah, that's the thing.
What's your evidence that it's working?
What's my evidence that it's working is because the usual people who jump on these stories are sitting here pushing these stories. Now, just because this one... No, stop. Let me finish. Just because this one doesn't grow legs, okay, and this isn't the story that takes off, it's like sending people in to fight behind enemy lines on a recon mission. You're looking to see where they're vulnerable at. Now, if this did, God forbid, this did blow up into some bullshit, like Al Franken times 10, then the Republicans would be like, boom, we put that under the definitive first strike area. That's one place we're going to go to on the road to 2020.
But I don't think this is coming from, I think the right is basking in this, but I don't think it's coming from the right, because when they interviewed Lucy Flores a couple days ago, they straight up asked her, like, well, then would you vote for Biden or Trump? And she said, it's not even a question. I would still vote for Biden. So in the same interview where she's denouncing him, she still says she would vote for him. Which makes no fucking sense.
No, I think that does make sense. Because what she's doing is actually denouncing his behavior and not him. And I think that's appropriate.
Well, first of all, unless I missed something,
because
he's not been accused of rape or any sticking his hand down anybody's pants.
That's why this is appropriate, is because it's something that, he did make somebody uncomfortable, and that's about the long and short of it, right? It doesn't say anything about his character, and we're moving on. I mean, the proof that whether this is effective or not is not proven based on who's going to report on it or what nut who is already nutty decides to start squawking about this issue. It's in the pudding. It's in the poll numbers. And they haven't budged for Biden.
Okay, but you don't see my point that this is the Republicans going, let's keep poking until we find some soft spots here. No, I mean, they're going to take advantage of this shit because that's what they do.
No, I'm agreeing with the first part of the Republican tactics. I'm disagreeing on the second part, that it's actually being effective.
Well, I guess I should have explained they're trying to rate its effectiveness. And if it was more effective, believe me, this would go into their playbook. This would be their go-to plan, fourth and long. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just politics. That's not even anything controversial to say. There should really be no debate on that statement because that's how politics is played.
I'm not debating you on that statement. But it's not about what they're going to use in attacking. It's
what will stick.
The Republican tactic is to throw something out there and see if his own side tears him apart.
Yeah, I mean,
this was his own side throwing it out. Like, that's, I guess, to me, too, I don't view this as a good harbinger for 2020, because this is the part where we're supposed to be nice to each other. The mud's not even supposed to start flying until next year when the primaries start. Like, this, they're starting to cannibalize themselves early on.
But I mean, isn't that?
I don't see your evidence for that, though. I mean, I've seen it happen in the Democratic Party over and over again, but if we're using this as an example of that, I don't see it. It hasn't. This is not another Al Franken situation where a few flimsy allegations of being made uncomfortable ruin somebody's career.
No, I agree there because, like I said, you got half of the Democrats support him and the other half are not. So yeah, I know that. I know that when you say half, you don't mean that there's some poll that says 50% of the Democrats support him, 50% it seems to be dividing them up.
Like it's 1% very loud and 99% very calm. That's the divide that I see. Well, the problem is though, we now live in the society where the loud 1% wins. That's the issue. If they did, then this would affect his poll number.
We're still talking about it. This happened Sunday. It's Thursday. We are still talking about it. I'd say they're kind of winning. Like it's managed to stay in the news cycle for almost a week. It's so much that he had to issue an apology video.
Mm-hmm.
Which, Jesus Christ,
But the end result is it going to affect his run for the presidency or not? And I'm saying, from my perspective, I can't see how this affects it at all.
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net. ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
You know what? Now that I really give it some thought, I think what could end up hurting him more than anything out of this is if he does, at some point, appear to be the front runner. The Republicans are going to latch on to, or attempt to latch on to this and push this. Well, if he didn't do anything, what do you apologize for? You only apologize when you're guilty. See how weak he is? Because they did it with Kerry with the whole, he changed his mind about something. He's flip-flopping. He's weak. He's not strong enough to lead this country. And I mean, I'm not saying it's going to work across the board. Nothing works across the board. The propaganda you buy into is not the propaganda I buy into or Chris buys into. All right? And we all do have our blind spots of propaganda on subjects that we are so passionate about that we hear them and it hits that part of us and we're, oh, shit. I would like to think that eventually the three of us were the type that once we get over that initial burst of, oh, shit, we actually look into it and see if there's anything to it or not. But I mean, these are all tactics that are just being filed away. And it's not just one party doing it. It's everybody in politics doing it. And so, I mean, that's what irks me. We're not even 12 months away from the election. And they've already spent, a week or two? I mean, I'm not even joking. For a week or two, all the right-wing people I know on social media were posting nothing but fuck O'Rourke memes. And for the last 4 days, it's been nothing but fuck Joe Biden. And it's like, okay, so is this what we're going to do? And so who's up next? Kamala Harris?
I want to see them go full on against Pete Buttigieg, or however you pronounce his name, because so far he's my favorite candidate.
Pete, what? Bukaki? What?
Buttigieg.
Buttigieg. Sounds like a name in like an American literature novel. I don't even.
He's the mayor of South Bend.
Mm-hmm. That dude is fucking smart.
Unfortunately, though, he's only raised $7 million. Right now, Bernie is crushing it with the money.
Yeah.
Like, Buttigieg could be setting himself up for maybe 2024, like just getting his name out there, perhaps.
That's possible. But if we're just going to judge it based on who do you want to be president next, and I know we've got a ways to go on this yet, but if the election were tomorrow, I think he might get my vote.
Huh. Was he on Bill Maher recently?
Yeah, last week he was the headlining guest, the interview.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I had to look him up because I'm like, okay, I remember the name from going, what the fuck did they just say his last name was? But yeah, okay. Now I can definitely place a face to him. All right. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm not thinking the right way. I'm just looking at it this way. If he starts pulling away and he starts looking like, he might actually make a serious run at it, all I can picture is the Republicans going, what's going on in South Bend? How much of a shit show is that place?
Well, he's gay, so I mean that's just easy pickings for the Republicans.
Oh man, do you think Trump would even go that route?
No, but I think people like McConnell, Lindsey Graham probably would. They would do it for him.
I mean, let's be honest here, though. But at this point in American society, isn't that essentially? It has to be someone who is firmly in the Bible Belt, like in the notch of the Bible Belt, who does that. Because if not, if they're in an area where there could be any blowback from even going after someone for being gay, it's going to be magnified.
Let's see. Yep, Trump's from New York. He's probably met a gay person or two. Probably has no problem with them. Quite honestly, that's why it's probably going to be your guys in the South that are gonna take a shot at the gay thing.
Yeah. Wow. I almost think that would be fucking political suicide. Seriously, at this point. I mean, you're not going to move the people who think you choose to be gay and it's a sin and all that shit. Those people.
You mean the Republicans?
Not all Republicans feel that way, though, man. I mean, I don't know if it was because Cheney's daughter was openly gay, and that entire W administration was put up on such a pedestal by a certain, segment of the Republican Party that they just said, you know what, this is no longer an issue that we can win on. Especially when marriage equality started passing all over the place. It's kind of like they just said, okay, well, how many?
I didn't say all Republicans. I just said Republicans, as in how many of those people do you think are Democrats?
Way smaller percent. No, not zero. Way smaller percentage.
Right.
You got people.
So essentially, you're talking about trying to convince Republicans to vote for a gay Democrat, which is kind of redundant. Like you're trying to get Republicans to vote for a Democrat.
I'm talking about more using the fact that he's gay as a attack.
Our values.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The effectiveness of his attack would be dependent on how much traction we give for people who would actually vote for him. Which if those people who would not vote for somebody because they're gay are also Republican, then it doesn't matter what their opinion is on it because it's a Democratic candidate. These people are probably not going to vote for a Democrat no matter what, whether it's gay, woman, black, Mexican, whatever.
Well, it does bring up an interesting point because there are a few members of my family that are very much Republicans, but they're very super religious, and they refuse to vote for Trump because, I mean, they
walk the walk.
Yeah, they actually agree with me when they go, "Thank you, you idiots in the Republican Party and everybody else who think that you voted in a Christian when you voted in the first openly atheist president we've ever had."
Right.
And so I mean, it's kind of their version of the far left. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like you're not to the right enough for us.
Trump should just be the death knell for religion in general. It just exposes how ridiculous it is. Because people can say, oh, well, Trump was put here by God to save us. Okay. Yeah, so the Lord works in mysterious ways, huh?
Aaron, I'm not picking on you, but this is just that's another one of those statements that you can tell you did not have religion. You did not grow up with religious people. Like you are, yeah, you cannot unring the religion bell. It's been around for millions of years. It'll be around for millions of more.
The defense that I've heard from family members is, look through the Bible. God's always used flawed humans because all humans are flawed due to original sin to promote his work. Noah was a drunk. And they'll start, so-and-so was a philanderer, and whatever, and it's like, okay, well.
It's because...
but Trump's all of them.
The main point of religion is to give people answers who need answers to questions that we can't answer. That's generally what religion, no matter what it is, what Buddhist, Catholic, Jewish, it's generally the point. It gives people comfort, gives them answers that we can't answer. So I think that's a human nature thing that we'll never get rid of.
No, but Aaron, you do bring up a good point. Trump is all of the 7 deadly sins rolled into one. So if John Doe hadn't died at the end of 7-2 could just be him hunting down Trump. Just take him all out in one fell swoop.
I wasn't trying to make some statement on the health of religion in this country. I was making it on the hypocrisy of religion when you can explain everything away as God working in mysterious ways.
Oh, that's one of the main tenets of religion.
I know.
Got no answer? God did it. Next.
Yeah,
how about this? God did it.
Every religion does it, and it's the thing. It's like once you learn to spot it, you just really have not a whole lot of tolerance for it. You know, it's like, whether it be this bullshit, you know, so-called evangelical Christians who believe the Bible is the exact word of God, supporting someone like Trump, and you're just left scratching your head going, hey, I'm assuming you've read the words of Christ, right?
There's a great Penn Jillette story I'll share real quick with you where he talks about, because he was atheist, right? But he was raised in a religious family. And so he talks a lot about, he says that people come up to him and ask him, well, you know, I'm sorry about whoever wronged you in your upbringing and ruined you on religion, but we're not all like that. And he's like, no, I grew up in a great, loving, religious family. He went to church every Sunday. He went to Bible study. He liked going to Bible study. But there was a certain point where his pastor went and talked to his parents and said, listen, I like having Penn at Bible study. And, you know, because he does speak up a lot about his views and, you know, questions a lot of the things. But I think it's time that I start having one of these conversations one-on-one with Penn, because he's starting to sound really convincing. And I stopped having answers to some of his questions. And it's kind of making everybody else uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's kind of how it started unraveling with me. I just started asking questions. Then people couldn't give me answers. I was like, yeah, you start unraveling the sweater, so to speak, and it just keeps unraveling.
And see, the built-in defense mechanism to that is, see, you're becoming worldly. You're becoming of the world. You're not of Christ anymore. You're of the world. The world's putting these ideas in your head to ask these questions that you should have faith for.
I can see the world. I can live in the world. You know, it's like Carlin. I could see the sun. You know, what he talks about is he become a sun worshiper. Oh, it's...
Every day of my life I've seen the sun. Yet to see God, Jesus, angel, demon. Well, I've met a few demons. Dated a few, but you know, still, I don't keep holy water around, so I didn't really put them to the test. But no, it's and I think everybody, that's how it starts, because in Bible study when I was a teenager, I basically was told, okay, this just isn't the class for you. And they basically asked me to leave. And I was like, all right, later. Like, I wasn't buying any of this shit anyways. It was more of just going in and learning, you really believe this nonsense? You know, and poking holes in their theory, because I was a smart-ass little kid, and that's what I did. That's what teenagers do. But the minute you start questioning, they come at you so hard with, you have to stop doing that. And that's not human nature. Human nature is someone tries to keep you away from something, force you away from something. It's to go find out about it even more. Curiosity sets in at that point. I mean, I don't know about you, Chris, but that's. I've heard the same story about Bill Hicks that Aaron, you just told about Penn Jillette. They were interviewing Bill Hicks's father for a documentary, and they said, you know, so how was he in because, you know, Bill Hicks's family is real religious. How was he in Sunday school? And they said, well, the story he told is he convinced a Sunday school teacher when he was like 13 that if he wouldn't disrupt the class, he'd let him get up there and do like 10 minutes of comedy or something. And he goes, well, was he funny? He goes, oh, he was very funny. He goes, but you might want to look at how you raised him. He was asking some very, very, unorthodox questions. And all that really means is your questions that you can't go, well, you got to take it on faith. Well, I don't have faith. I'm not going to believe in something that is ridiculous. And once you get to that point, then they start blaming everybody else. Who'd you hear that from? And that whole thing of Christians coming up to Penn, I'm so sorry, someone who hurt you. That is such a condescending, fuck you, cunt.
I know, right?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Fuck you, cunt. I hate fucking people like that. You fucking serious? Like, don't act like you're like, it's a shame you've run into some false Christians, some Pharisees out there, but we're different. Then show it.
Right.
How about that?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of corrupt religious people out there that are dragging your religion through the mud, but the bigger problem is really just your own beliefs.
Well, it really sucks because we've done this before, but I mean, there's only a handful of religions that don't try to basically get you to join, whether that's, under threat of violence or whatever. I mean, there's very few religions that are just happy to leave other religions be and not try to convert you.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't it amazing that those religions really aren't like part of the major religions? I mean, I guess Judaism is to an extent.
Well, I mean, if one of your main tenets isn't recruiting, then you're just not going to grow as fast.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing. Like, is it Buddhism that believes, look, there's no point in going out and trying to convert you.
Right.
If you want to be enlightened, you'll come to us.
Yeah, but that's just kind of like making a Windows phone. And it's like, we really believe in making this product, but we don't really care if anybody uses it or not. That's up to them. And eventually your product dies off.
By the way, it did dawn on me how Trump can trash Buttigier, can trash the gay part without trashing the gay part. Think back to the 90s. Dan Quayle. What was his thing with the second when we were going for their second term that they lost? Family values.
Oh, see, and
that's how Trump attacks him being gay without attacking him being gay.
Before Trump has come off like Teflon, I would have loved to hear that. Like, Trump's going to preach about family values, but the idiots in his base are just going to lap it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. It's like I am so convinced there's nothing he could do, no hypocrisy, no crime that would shake his. I mean, I'm talking about the foundation of his base.
There's nothing that he can do that they haven't already excused.
Yeah, Mandy's theory is the line is fucking barren. She's like, that's probably the only thing that he could get caught doing that people would be like, all right, I'm out, we're done.
Fucking his own kid?
Yeah.
Unless he tried to spin it like Barron was soft.
And then it would have to be the male one.
Yeah. After face fucking Barron, he's much tougher now, I guarantee you. He's ready to go out and be manly now that I've had sex with him.
Yeah.
That's how you try to spin that shit. I mean, that's like, it's in poor taste, the joke, but it's in even poorer taste that I wouldn't put it past the man. I mean, it's, oh God, Jesus fucking Christ. I was saying this the other day. I don't even wish for any past politician we've had. I just want politicians that go back to just bring the normal amount of bullshit with you that politicians bring.
Mm.
Like this motherfucker pulled up with a fleet of U-Hauls of bullshit behind him. And it's just been constant. And it's like, oh my God. And here's the thing. It's like when the usual suspects went after Obama, it pretty much stayed in the usual suspects ball court. Every once in a while, the bullshit would boil over and it'd get on the stove a little bit, so the media would have to cover it. But I mean, like, this bullshit with him is just, it's never ending, and none of it doesn't boil over. And he sits and he goes, "Oh, I'm the most maligned president in history." He feeds into the shit.
Or, I mean, I would argue that it's constantly boiling over, and that his supporters are just like, what? That's how you boil water.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they get off on this shit. Like, they really do.
Overboiling my water to own the libs.
I'll show them. And then I'll set my Nikes on fire while I'm wearing them.
Can we get them to, like, wear Fruit of the Looms? Maybe we can stop the reproduction of some of these people. Like Byrne knows why you're wearing them.
I enjoy stuff like that so much, because not only does it just make that one individual that chose to, do whatever, burn the sneakers, destroy the action figure, basically completely obliterate something that they paid money for in order to make some sort of statement. But the statement that they're making, whether they realize it or not, really has more to do with how I feel like a lot of Republicans have voted for decades now against their own interests. They keep shooting themselves in the foot. But as long as they can believe that God had a hand in putting their candidate there, then
God's president.
Mysterious ways. Yeah, can Jesus just come back so we can make him president already? Get this over with.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say, we had a black president. Maybe we're ready for a Jewish president. Who knows?
Right.
And for the Democrats, he'd have to call himself Jesus.
Which is, something I got to say. I was kind of surprised by that. Now that I think about it, I kept waiting for that shoe to drop in 2016 from the Republicans towards Bernie. The whole, I'm surprised no one ever brought up him being Jewish. For some reason, I just figured they would bring that up, under the guise of family values, Chris, like you were saying. Does his beliefs really reflect the majority of America's beliefs? I mean, he believes that Jesus Christ isn't our Lord and Savior. Well, most Americans are Christian.
There's a difference, though. There's the majority of the American Jewish population, which I think most people would agree is pretty liberal. And then there's the elites in America of Jewish people who have shit tons of money. Those people, whatever they say out loud, probably are voting more Republican.
Yeah.
Like anything, there's, you can divide up issues on race, but it still doesn't supersede the lines that are drawn when it comes to money.
Yeah, and I didn't really stop to think that through. The fact that so many evangelical Christians support Israel because they need Israel to be there for their prophecy for Christ to come back to be play out. Yeah, I didn't stop to think that through.
They need the Jews. They need the Jews to all be in one place.
Yeah, we need you guys to be here so you can get slaughtered so our Savior can come back.
Exactly. They're pretty much just cattle. But, until Slaughterhouse Day comes, you're going to parade that cattle out. You're going to put a bell on it and take it to the county fair.
Instead of Operation Get Behind Darky, like the South Park movie, it's Operation Get Behind Shylock.
Jesus.
Let the four horses of the apocalypse wipe the Jews out, then we'll move in.
Yeah. You got to keep that cattle nice and fat.
Oh, Christ.
There's more blood to be spilled.
Hey, a book that was written hundreds of years ago that can't be confirmed tells them they're supposed to be there, guys.
Yeah, and
Well, that's some.
This old book says this land belongs to us.
well, I mean, also it's like, have you seen pictures of the area that they're fighting over? I'd be happy to move. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, here's the thing: if I was the Palestinians, I'd be like, look, you don't want me here. Well, I mean, we woke up one day and we took a look around. It's pretty shitty here.
Yeah, I'm gonna sail across the Mediterranean Sea and go to Greece. It's way cooler over there.
So instead of spending all that money bombing us, just relocate us. We'll take like the middle of nowhere, fucking in the woods, Canada somewhere. There's, they got all that land space and only 37 million people. They got plenty of room.
Right. Jesus comes back and he's hanging out in Australia. And they're like, what about the Promised Land? Yeah, I went there. Didn't see much. Well,
Then I
pretty
came
much
here.
Promised Land's wherever I say it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, here's
Australia now.
Yeah, here's something, Catholics. It's where I say it is.
Yeah.
Jesus is like, I saw a picture of Elle McPherson and ate a Vegemite sandwich. New Promised Land, Australia. Period. End of story. I like my women leggy. Mary Magdalene was a tall bitch.
That was the Promised Land. 2,000 years ago. Shit changes.
Well, I'm just imagining the Irish Catholics that now have to make a pilgrimage to Australia. Because that's, like, oh, this is our second homeland. That's where the British sent us to do time. And now Jesus says it's the Promised Land? 2 reasons to go visit. Maybe we'll run into Mel Gibson and hate on some Jews while we're there. Oh, shit.
Oh, man.
All right. So, did we have anything else?
No, I think that's a good place to leave it.
Yeah. Going out on a high note. We can't have one of those shows where we end up going out on a bummer.
Religion again. It's always fun.
Yeah. So I guess this is the part where I remind you that you want to listen to the show, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You can always go to ChristopherMedia.net, or you can just hit us up on Twitter at regimented.pod. It's essentially a portal for the show, but it's how new listeners find us. If you like it, tell somebody, because that's how these things grow. It's organic, word of mouth, still the best form of advertising. If you're new, if you're an old listener, just tell a friend if you like it. We've been gaining steam the last few months. I don't know why. I'm not going to complain. So I'm just going to thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Later, guys.
unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net. ChristopherMedia.net.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for listening, and thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.